Sorry.
That's okay.
I know there's two links, like one of them is the shortened one, and then I told her she could send out either because both should work. Because there's like a bit.ly link that's the shorter version, and then the really long URL otherwise, but either one would work.
Okay, let me see.
And then I posted them in both the Facebook groups also, just in case.
Well, it concerns me because nobody's on yet. Well, I shouldn't be concerned.
I know, I'm like, normally I never see people until like it already has started or right before, so.
I don't get that. I just, because I am so anal about those things.
I've gotten much better with that, where I'm like, I want to be somewhere early or like start it early, especially since I've been like arranging these.
Yeah.
That I feel like people want to be on like earlier, so I don't want to start it like at 1 o'clock exactly. I think that's like too late almost.
Yeah, it is. Let's see, stop share. That isn't the one I want. Huh, did the other one go away?
Hi, Elsie. She can't hear me yet, I don't think.
Oh, now I did both of them. Okay. The epitome of organization here. Really excited about tomorrow with Chris Alston.
Yeah, prospecting. And then become the CEO is tomorrow too. And so I don't know how many people know about that either, but I mean, everyone's invited to attend that too.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to something like that?
To what?
Become the CEO?
No. Oh, no.
Chris Suarez, and I'm not 100% sure on what that is, but that's tomorrow at 10.
Ah. It keeps bringing up the one that I don't want. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm hoping. Let's see.
Got some.
There we go. There we go.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have a class of 3, counting me. Yay!
Good enough, you know?
What is that?
That's good enough.
It is. And the way I roll is I honor the fact that you guys took the time to get here on time.
Yeah.
So we're going to get started.
Awesome.
Mute
myself so I don't add any interruptions.
Okay.
Just in case, but if you need anything, let me know.
I will.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Renee Mello. And I've been with Keller Williams. I've been a realtor, licensed realtor since 1986. I got my license. And I went back and forth, and then I finally got serious about it and said, I'm not going to leave again until in 2000. And I joined Keller Williams in 2008, and I have been here ever since. I absolutely love it. I want to say I'm a single agent, but I really have a team. I have a partner who I have a thing about not putting buyers in my car. So anyway, so and then I'm also the the director of productivity for all three offices. So if any of you are ever looking for an opportunity to maybe do some coaching in that is a program that I am launching, and it's good stuff, good stuff. So we're doing lead generation 3612-3, and I'm sure you have all heard. Everybody know what the 3612-3 stands for?
36 transactions in 12 months, doing 3 hours of lead gen a day.
Perfect. 36 transactions in 12 months, doing 3 hours of lead generation a day. So basically, in this particular session, is called the Power of One. We'll talk a little bit about what Gary Keller's perception is about the Power of One. 9 myths about lead generation, and the productivity roller coaster, wired to win, training, implementation, and accountability, and then putting it all together. So, the one thing that Keller Williams is, and I think it's not just Keller Williams, it's life. One of the things that we really need to incorporate in our life if we want to be successful is accountability. I used to tell the story, when I was single, I actually lived up in San Jose. And what I would do is, I'm sorry I'm distracted. The Santa Cruz office got the wrong link, okay? So I'm gonna get off of this for just a second. And I've already emailed the person that they need to correct the link, but I'm sorry about this, guys.
All good.
Thank you. Thank you for your grace. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Elaine, Rosie sent out the wrong link. Period. Emailed her, but don't know if I'm going to hear back in time. So she's going to love me, love me, love me. Okay, I can close this. Okay, I can do a slideshow from current slide. Okay, so I used to tell the story when I lived in San Jose, and I was actually a real estate agent in San Jose with Cornish and Carey, which tells you how long ago it was. And what I used to do is I'd say if I was really good, or if I made my goals or whatever, I would get a steak and an artichoke that night on a Sunday night. So if I was good, I'd get a steak and an artichoke, right? Well, guess who got to judge whether I had been good or not? So guess who always got a steak and an artichoke on Friday night or Sunday night? You
were your own accountability partner early on?
I was, and let me tell you, I did damn good as an, So, that's part of the challenge, is that you set a goal, you do the key activities, and you need to measure results, and you need to evaluate process. And this is where the accountability comes in, because we set the goals, but we don't always do the key activities. We know what we need to do, but we don't always do what we need to do. And that's the challenge. And then measure results, evaluate process, and make adjustments. So it's, you know, it's always constant. It's like they, I remember hearing, and this fascinated me. I remember hearing that when they shoot the rocket to the moon, it is adjusting like 95% of the time. It's adjusting its traction. So there's no straight line from point A to point B. You're always going to need to be adjusting. So part of the goal with doing the lead generation and that is to avoid the productivity roller coaster, and we'll go into that a little more. Commit to focusing on the one thing, which is your lead generation. And how many times have you heard your one thing is lead generation? Like daily?
Yeah.
Like hourly? Yeah. And so, you know, again, 36 transactions, 12 months, and 3 hours every day. So this 36-12-3 is, you know, building on one on top of another. Today we're going to do the power of one and validity and positioning. Then tomorrow, Chris Alston is doing prospecting, and there's a whole schedule. You guys have some really dynamite people. The guy that's doing the FISBOs and expireds, I'll tell you, don't miss it. He is good. Okay, so the power of one. And Gary Keller believes that the power of one is based on two things. One is the principle of the greatest leverage and the timeless truth. One thing begets another. And so the greatest leverage is the 80-20 rule. And we've all heard about the 80-20 rule. We all, you know, especially if you've been with Keller Williams for longer than a nanosecond. Clifton, it's great to see you. But you've heard the 80-20 rule, which is basically you're going to get 80% of your results from 20% of your activities. And what you need to do is focus on and do the 20% of your activities to get your results before you do all the rest. So the way to kind of track that and to see that is through the 411 is a way to do that. And that's a whole other class. But basically, it makes sure that you focus on the 20% to get the 80%. Any questions about that? And I'm going to be going through this a little quickly, just simply because we've got a lot to cover today. Denise, I'm glad you found it. So the other one is one thing begets another, and it talks about mastery. Once you master one thing, it makes achieving mastery of the next related. What the hell? I'm sorry. My system has been acting funny lately. So anyway, what we're, I'll tell you, that's why you always get a home warranty, because Murphy works overtime, and Murphy is definitely working overtime today. So the mastery, they say that 10,000 hours is what you need to do to achieve mastery. Okay, so, and there's been numerous studies about this, and it has found that basically to achieve mastery in anything, it takes about 10,000 hours, which is 3 hours a day for 5 years. Does that math sound right? I'm trying to get myself back up. I'll tell you one thing, I am persistent. This is not going to get the best of me. So anyway, to do mastery, you have to do 10 hours of 3 hours of work 5 days a week for 5 years.
No, it would actually work out. I'm doing the math here. I think it's hang on, 10, I think it's closer to 10,
10 years?
3 times 365 times 5 gets you to 5,500. So about 8 or 9
Years.
Yes.
Okay. And the interesting thing, and I'm sorry, we're not going to have a slideshow today. The interesting thing is that a lot of people, you know, you look at a lot of famous people or a lot of people and you wonder, you know, how'd they get there or how did they do this? Hi. Okay, Elaine. And the thing is, like Bill Gates is an example. Okay, so how did Bill Gates build this phenomenal operating system, right? How did he do that? Well, what people don't realize is that when he was, I think it was at Harvard, when he was at Harvard, he was not much of a social animal. And if you look at Bill Gates, you can kind of, anyway, he wasn't much of a social animal. So what he would do is he spent hours upon hours upon hours in the computer lab. So that's where he got the mastery of the computer to eventually write the DOS operate. He wrote DOS, right? DOS operating system. So again, there's nobody that comes by mastery easy. It is the consistent practice of doing something over. Now, Gary's idea of leverage is that once you do something, it's easier to add one more thing to it. So an example would be once you learned how to do, let's say, you know, lead generation or something, or lead generation for sellers, it would be easy to add one more, which is lead generation for buyers or something. Okay? Any question about that? I'm going to quit apologizing. You know, it be what it be. So, how many of you guys have read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent?
I have.
Okay. And Gary has a thing about myths. He has it in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I think he has it in the one book. One thing, I think he has it in the shift. He has a thing about myths and the truths. So he talks about the myth of lead generation. And the first myth is not all leads are good leads. What do you guys think? Are all leads good leads?
Absolutely not.
Okay, you're absolutely right. Not all leads are good leads. Now, the thing is that they're not all equal, but they just may need different nurturing or different things like that, okay? Sarah says not all leads are good. Absolutely, we've learned that the hard way. So, you know, understand that every lead is not a good lead, but you work them. You do what you need to do on them so that you can move forward. Lead generation is really hard. That's another myth. What do you guys think?
I think it's a lot harder now. I mean, not being able to get out and meet people face to face, which was, you know, for me, number one, since I'm new to this area in the last few years, it's gotten a lot harder try to be creative about how to develop more leads and, you know, meet more people.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that. Yeah.
So you're saying that it has become a little harder,
Yeah.
and we need to kind of figure out different ways to do lead generation so that we can continue to you know, fill our database, and you can, you know, actually also continue to work with or reach out to the people that you know, even if they're not from the area, to see if they might know anybody anywhere that has a need. Another myth is I'm too busy, I don't have time. And basically, you know, we all face time management challenges. But, you know, we get back to the 80-20 rule. And, you know, if lead generation is the 20% that leads to the 80% results, then you got to make time. There is, you know, you have to do it. And, you know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of negative reactions to the word lead generation. Call it, you know, reaching out and touching someone. Call it, you know, business development. Call it what you need to call it to make it comfortable, but reach out to people. Another myth is I don't have to lead generate. If I do a good job, people will just come to me. How many people do you think everybody knows? How many realtors do you think everybody knows?
At least 20 each. At least.
And growing and growing. I mean, the challenge is that, you know, for every person out there, they know probably at least 3 or 4 different realtors.
Easy. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's nice to think that they'll come to you, but they have to know you're in real estate. You can't be a secret agent. And they have to know that you're going to, you know, that you're ready, willing, and able to help them. So you do have to lead generate. The next one is I can't lead generate because I don't know what to do and I don't know what to say. Do you think, I mean, honestly, do you think I'm going to let that one go by? Clifton, you participated in our poor Clifton, he keeps getting picked on when he comes to a class of mine. You came to a couple of scripts things. Can you see the benefit of practicing scripts and understanding what you should be saying?
Yes, definitely is more beneficial than doing it by yourself, which was what I was doing beforehand, because my responses were already expected, whereas, you know, working with other people, I get different perspectives. So definitely.
Okay. Good. So, you know, I don't know what to say is not a valid excuse. Anywhere, I don't know if you guys are all familiar with the fact that and Keller Williams actually has a 3 big binders full of scripts. One is for buyers, one is for sellers, and one is for lead generation. So if you go to KW Connect and you type in lead generation or you type in buyer scripts, there's going to be enough scripts to keep you happy. I don't need to lead generate. I have enough business. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? I don't think so.
What happens when that business runs out?
Yeah. Or, you know, yeah, because exactly. And, you know, yeah. Okay, and I don't have anyone to help me do everything that must be done. Well, the goal is to eventually make enough money that you can hire help. I mean, right now, there's some people who believe, and I disagree with them, that you should have to do 1 or 2 transaction coordinator sort of things on your own so you know what's needed. But I mean, the transaction coordinators are huge leverage. You know, if you have to be the one chasing down all this paperwork, it takes time. What are some other things that you know, that you can eventually, you know, with command now, you know, with a couple of keystrokes, you can do your flyers, you can do your postcards, you can do everything. So, you know, the goal is to either find a way to quickly do it or offload it onto someone else. So your goal is to make enough money so that you are able to hire the help you need. And then the other one is I don't have enough money to lead generate. And basically lead generation doesn't have to cost money. It is, you know, it's the phone call. You know, once upon a time when we didn't have Bold Online, you know, there still was the requirement to do 20 contacts a day. And one of the things that they had people do, if you wanted to really do that, is they had them, there was like a treasure hunt sort of thing, or a scavenger hunt. And what one of them did, is anyone here from the Gateway office? Say hi. No one from Gateway?
I'm from Gateway.
Okay, Renee, good to hear that.
Okay, Renee.
Tom Calavota, God love him. he stood outside of the Oak Ridge Mall and it said, talk to someone with a red hat. So then he'd wait until someone with a red hat came and he'd go up and he'd introduce himself. He said, I'm doing this scavenger hunt sort of thing, and I'm supposed to talk to people with a red hat, and you've got a red hat. So, so he did it. Did he get any leads? I don't know, but he did make contact. So there are ways to make contact. At one point he's going to be mad at me for, another time what he did is he was at I think it was at a dealership waiting for his car to be fixed. And he just stood there and he said, hey, I'm a realtor. Does anyone know of anyone that wants to buy or sell real estate right now? You just never know.
He's in like a car, what do you call it? Like a car group kind of where you.
Yeah,
I can't think of what it's called.
No, it's not a Camino. It's one of those long little car.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
Capital Expressway.
No, he's in a car club. But it's
like a car club kind of.
Yeah, but I can't think of what the kind of car it is. It's the one with the long front.
Miguel, for not knowing, but
Miguel Vasquez had one.
Impala?
No, it's a sports car. Anyway. Yeah, Renee, you're going on tangents. This is what happens when I can't hide behind my slides. And my system, if I go off suddenly, it just means my system's off. Okay. And then the last one is that I can't lead generate because I'm not a natural lead generator. Wrong. Okay, so what can I spend 3 hours doing every day that will build my business, will do more to build my business than lead generation? So if you're trying to build a business, what else can you do? It's a people business, and you have to be talking to people. So, again, like you'll notice I have my badge on. You should be wearing your badge wherever you go. If you go to a grocery store, you should be wearing your badge. And there's some tricks there, and this has happened to me. And if you belong to a gym, don't be afraid to let people know what you do at the gym. I've had people follow me into the shower with questions about real estate. It's like, okay, I love the fact that now I've become the real estate expert for that particular gym. Again, that was a few years ago. But anyway, so wherever you are, and if you're in a grocery store and someone said, oh, are you in real estate? How's the market? Your natural instinct, and Marty will know this, your natural instinct, and Sarah will know this, your natural instinct is to say, great. Don't say great, say, why are you asking? Well, I'm just kind of curious. Well, are you looking at it from a buyer's point of view or a seller's point of view? Because you want to get into conversation with them about the specifics for the market they're talking about. Right now, the market is great for sellers. For buyers, it's a bit of a challenge. I wouldn't tell them that, but your answer is going to be a little different for a buyer than a seller. So again, wear your badge wherever you go and start conversations. Start conversations as you can with people. Okay. So the hard truth is no leads, no sales, no closings, no income. So I want to read you a story. Once upon a time. So get your little teddy bears and get ready for this story. It's a story from Gary Keller. And it says, Gary Keller, co-founder and chairman of the board of Keller Williams, likes to stimulate his audiences. His passion about always doing his best. And how many people were at Mega Camp? Raise your hand. How many people were at Mega Camp? Raise your hand. Jordan, you were, weren't you?
Yes, I was there.
Sarah was there. Marty was there. Okay. You know that he is absolutely passionate about real estate and always doing his best and passionate about inspiring others to do their best. Gary often makes this humorous point about the goal of being average. Let's talk about doing your best. Let's say you ask someone out for a date. You wouldn't say, look, I need to tell you something. I'm not a person who tries to do his best at things. So this is probably going to be an average date. I picked an average place to go. We'll have an average meal and we'll do something average afterwards. Is anyone interested in going on this date? Or consider marriage? Would you turn to your spouse and say, I need to share with you that my expectations are very low for this marriage. I don't intend to do my best and I don't expect much. Who is going to marry someone who thinks at this level? Now let's look at your career. You sit in front of your buyer or seller and say, the reason you should hire me is I'm average. I think average, I act average, I don't aim high, I'm not very interested in doing my best. Who is going to choose to do business with someone like that? Do you want to be like this? Be careful on how you answer the answer. Words will have to be backed up by actions. If you want to do your best, how do you think and what specific actions will you have to take? And here's the truth. You see, it's not even really about becoming the best you can be, but the incredible journey and experience you'll have when you try. The best you can be will be just naturally happen when you try. So any feedback about that? Come on, people. Hi, guys. Glad you were able to find us. We were hiding. Any comment about that story? Did it resonate with anybody about trying to be average?
Can you read that again?
I'll send it to you. It's long. But basically, Elsie, were you going to say something? I saw you turn your mute off.
Yeah, I'm saying, we are in an age and time that we all want excellency. We want the best of the best. Nobody's going to be, settled with an average performance. And this is, and buying a house is something that you put a lot of money into. It's one of the biggest investments. So you want the best because you're not going to be doing it every other day or not even the other year.
Yeah. And doesn't your client deserve the best?
Of course.
Your client, you're serving someone. They deserve the best. Now, there's some people out there that they're best. Anyway, we'll let that go. Okay, so what does 36 mean to you? Everybody have a pencil, paper, and a calculator? Everybody, the phone will give you a calculator if you need it, but let's just go through this exercise. What does 36 mean? Okay, so what's the average sales price that you have? Each of you write down what the average sales price is in your particular area. For me, it's going to be 500,000. Okay. My market is a senior village, and the homes are 400 or 500 and less. And then I get other ones every once in a while. So my average is about 500,000. Okay, so then what's the average commission? I usually say the average commission is going to be about 2.75 because we will get some 3s and we'll get some 2.5s. So if I multiply 500,000 times 0.0275, I get 13. My commission, my gross commission is going to be 13,750. Everybody staying with me?
Yep.
Okay. Now multiply that times 36. Have I heard any jaws drop? Clifton's smiling. Like that number, huh? Even at 500,000, which you guys in San Jose and most of the people in Santa Cruz is not even in the same realm, even you guys, even me at 500,000, I came up with close to $500,000. Not too shabby. Can someone add what in the chat? Oh, the breakdown? Oh, the math. Okay. I will do
What
that
math
later.
are you wanting?
Excuse me?
What math are you wanting? Or what math is it?
Marty wants the average sales price times 2.75, and then that amount times 36. Would you do that for me, Jordan?
What's your average sales price you want? 650?
Yeah, Marty will probably be doing 650.
Got it.
So what's your time frame? 36 to do these 36 transactions is 12 months. And part of the challenge when we're doing this is thinking that we want it right away. You know, and what they're talking about in this presentation is like bamboo. If you plant bamboo and you water bamboo and you take care of bamboo, how long does it take before bamboo starts growing? Before you see it, it's growing, it's doing its thing.
A long time.
It takes 3 years. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 3 years of lead generation to see some results. At that point, I see some people just walk off the thing. But what it's saying is, you know, you can't always expect immediate responses, especially when you're doing things like farming. You know, like a lot of people will do farming and they will, you know, they'll send out their 600 or 700 postcards or whatever, and then they'll say, well, I didn't get anything, so it didn't work. Well, no, you have to do it consistently. How many people have heard, I keep asking, I'm hoping someday some of you will respond. How many people have heard about the 8x8 Touch program?
Me.
Of course.
Okay, the reason that was started was that there was a study done in Southern California that said that what they did is they sent out to all these people and they said, if you were to list your house tomorrow, who would you use? And they got all these different responses. Then what they did is they sent out 8 messages about this one fictitious agent for 8 weeks. And then they sent out a survey again and said, how many people, who would you hire? And guess what came back? It's this fictitious agent. So that's why they're saying you have to repeat. You have to keep doing things in front of people. The first time it might not register. The second time it might not register. By the third or fourth time, it should register. Okay? So understand you're kind of laying the groundwork, and then it'll start going up. I mean, I know a lot of people who are doing Facebook ads right now. I know Sarah's experiencing this, where she's getting people who are interested, but it's a longer term sales cycle. And, you know, it is frustrating because, you know, a lot of people want something like right now. And, you know, and I understand that, but at the same time, you have to continue nurturing those other people because, you know, what, I mean, it's like what happens is that you have no business, you have no business, you have no business. And you're thinking, oh my God, is it ever going to happen? And then those people you've been nurturing for a while suddenly start cracking. And then it just keeps going. As long as you don't do this, there's something we're going to talk about in a minute. So 3 hours a day. So what do you think the first thing you need to do about those 3 hours a day?
Time block.
Thank you, Sarah. Time block. You're not going to automatically do it. Denise, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say that. Get it on your calendar.
Get it on your calendar. And then, I hate to tell you this, getting it on your calendar is sometimes not enough. You actually have to follow your calendar. I'll tell you, life is just I'll tell you, it's hard. But you need to do 3 hours of lead generation. Now, I remember when I started all this, and they told me 3 hours of lead generation. I said, who in the hell do I have to talk to for 3 hours? Or who do I have? Well, the 3 hours, well, since we're not doing the slides, I can jump ahead. The 3 hours consists of 3 things: prepare, take action, maintain. So what's prepare? It's your get ready to lead generate time. This is when you will practice your scripts. You do research on MLS to find out what's going on in your area. You place your signs if you're doing an open house. You make a list of who you're going to call. So that's the most important, is that you practice your scripts and get ready to go, and then you make a list of who you're going to call. Okay, so that's the prepare part of the lead generation. Then you take action. That's when you actually start making contact with these people. And it says, and this is what really helped me in the whole concept, is it says take action time is the indispensable component of every 3-hour daily commitment. It's not the whole thing. It's the most important thing. I mean, what good is it to have a list if you don't call them? But, you need to prepare. So if you're making calls or visiting contacts, of course, we can't door knock anymore, but whatever you're going to do it for the 3 hours. And then your maintenance. That is about wrap up and follow up. You will likely spend a portion of your 3 hours on activities such as follow up notes, adding contacts to your database, tracking your numbers to determine if lead generation activities are providing a return on the investment. So again, it's not like 3 hours on the phone, but it's the 3 hours encompassing preparing, taking action, and then maintaining. So if you have that focus, 3 hours of every day, then you have the rest of the day to do appointments, to do follow-ups on here, so you don't have to do follow-up. I mean, it actually says follow-up is part of the maintenance. So you have the time to do the other kinds of things that you need to do. Any comments about this?
I have a question actually. Now that with COVID and everything is done, from a distance, do you feel that you can achieve more done since you're not wasting time driving, going and meeting people? It's just all done, much quicker through, phone or of Zoom or whatever it is.
Well, I think that in the lead generation, probably not, but in the lead follow or the actual appointments, absolutely. The time it takes to get a listing presentation done and not having to drive there. There's not the distractions that you would have. You go to someone's house and the dog is barking. I mean, love dogs. Dogs barking. I mean, I have dogs licking my feet. Anyway, all that stuff goes away. And so you're much more efficient in that way. But, the lead generation, is still probably talking to people. Right now, it has to be talking to people on the phone. Or, doing Facebook and well, even that. I mean, all of it is phone follow-up, at least initially with your lead generation.
And one more question. Through your experience, do you feel that phone calls or, distant relations, kind of, communication is as easy to convince others with your point of view or what you are trying to say rather than face-to-face, meetings?
I personally feel as comfortable doing it via Zoom as I do in person. And I think a lot of it is because I have trained myself so that I can look at the big picture, so for you that have your pictures on, thank you. You know, so I can see your reactions. I can see when someone raises their hand. I can see whatever. So for me, doing it via Zoom, I actually am probably better able to read what's going on in the room than if you were to be in person.
I
Josh?
see.
Renee, is it okay if I just comment really quick on the question that Clifton
Sure.
put in the chat? Because it was something that helped us out, because there's a large sort of sort of dialogue about prospecting in the morning, and typically that's reinforced because typically that's when our energy levels are higher. However, it's also like know your audience, know your database, right? Like if you know like that 90% of your database is working 9 to 5 and they're not really available, well, calling them between 9 and noon isn't really going to yield you much, right? So like our broker back in Montana, he did all his calls on Saturdays because he knew everybody was home, right, or available. And there was one of the calls from KWRI that they were talking about this one lady who she lead generated from like 3 to 6, right, is when she did her calls, right, because she found that was the most effective. So whatever, you still gotta have that energy, that thing, but whatever is going to make you the most effective. So really take a look at your database. Like for right now, like I have a lot of guys that I used to work with in fire, and I know that 90% of them aren't going to be available right now. So calling them, but I might send them a text or a Facebook message, or at least keep touching them until we can actually get a point to talk. So and it doesn't necessarily just have to be phone call per se, but connecting with people, as long as you're staying top of mind with them.
Yeah, and that, and again, that's two things. Number one, you're absolutely right, Josh, that the goal is to keep top of mind. So how you do it is totally up to you. The other thing is, initially when COVID first hit, people were at home a lot more. And I think now, people are working from home a lot now. And as Josh says, you need to know your audience. If the majority of your people, are working now, then probably waiting. The other thing is, like, some people would have where they would call 5 to 7, at night or whatever. So know your audience. It's a very valid point. Now she's going to choke to death. Excuse me for a minute, if I can get myself turned off here. Nope. Okay. The real estate productivity roller coaster. Has anyone heard about the roller coaster that everybody's on?
Still on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. It's so cute, especially newer agents. They'll work to get a sale. Then they'll get a sale, and then they love that sale. Everything's about that sale. The only time that someone can come in and do an inspection is absolutely at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, lead generation isn't important. I'll erase that. I'll move that somewhere else. I got to have my property inspection done, and the termite inspection, and then all this other stuff that happens, and they love it, and then they end up 45 days later, and they go, "Oh shoot, I'm out of business." Always keep lead generating, even if you've got a sale. It seems obvious, but it's not. And I've seen people that will, well, yeah, Renee, I know, because I'll tell them, I congratulate you for having a sale. I think it's wonderful. Now keep lead generating. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing you know, they're closing that. And now you have to start all over again with finding new business. So keep the lead generation going. Now, I will tell you that when you have property inspections and when you have termite inspections, the inspector will call and say, "Hey, I've got 9 o'clock on Wednesday available." And what you're going to say? "I've got an appointment." How about 1 o'clock on Wednesday? They don't have to know what the appointment is. All they need to know is that you're not available in the morning to do post-sales sort of stuff. You control your calendar. I think we sometimes get so excited about the fact that we have a sale and that the property inspector can fit us in, that we'll take whatever, and you don't have to. So I get very frustrated when I hear someone tell me, I can't be at this class because I've got a property inspection. You knew the class was coming, and what happened is the property inspector said, this is going on, I can do it this stage, so well, hell with the class, I can do this. Don't do that. Honor your calendar. Okay, let's see. Be wired to win. Are you wired to win? If you aren't wired to win, what are you wired for? Failing forward. It talks about John Maxwell and concludes how people see failure and deal with it, whether they possess the ability to look beyond it and keep achieving, impacts every aspect of their life. Maxwell suggests that there's 3 attitudes often get in the way of moving beyond failure to achievement. We might call these limiting beliefs. Fearing failure, misunderstanding failure, and not being prepared for failure. So, failure is our best teacher. Anybody disagree with that?
You certainly learn a lot if you're willing to listen to what it is you failed at. It's like, to be able to pinpoint, here's where I failed, so what do I need to learn to go forward?
Right. And when do you truly, there's only one time you truly fail. When is that? Josh has got it.
When you stop.
Exactly. It's not a failure until you stop. Because if you haven't, and Rob, were you going to say the same thing?
I was going to say, or you don't try to start with. You don't even attempt.
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest failure.
Yeah, not even starting. You just have to understand that failure is a part of it, and you shake it off, and then you move forward. Okay. Let's see. Is your definition of lead generation holding you back? I wonder how this is going to apply to anybody. During the development of this lead generation 3612-3 course, we interviewed more than 150 highly successful real estate agents for their wisdom and practical experiences about lead generation. What we discovered is that many inexperienced lead generators made the mistake of defining lead generation in the following way. Lead generating equals prospecting equals cold calling equals rejection. Anybody define it that way? I did for a long time.
That was kind of our perception for a while.
Yep. And this is going to really resonate with you guys. Lead generation equals business relationship building equals opportunity equals financial independence. Does that sound much more acceptable?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to understand, like, for those people that haven't read the MREA or go back into the MREA, under the model, it's like, and just, I think it's because of the I don't know, whatever, the way that they were pushing when we first started, it was like, and I think it was just maybe the way that we were being taught, but it seemed like there was a large emphasis on cold calling, circle prospecting, all this stuff. And it's been really great to see this shift, and especially over this last bold about, no, your database. But when you look in the MREA, like, there's a whole list of things that you can do, right? And it's not just those things. And that was a big aha for us a couple of years ago when we revisited that, and that was kind of taught.
Well, I'm teaching
Um,
a class. That's okay.
Yeah, so
And I can't mute myself, so.
yeah, so I think that really understanding that and really like expanding your mind and your view. So what Renee said, Laura and I switched lead generating to relationship building, and that's what we schedule it as. That's how we talk about it, and because we feel like it's a bit more what we're supposed to be doing, right? Is building relationships, and it's a bit more authentic, and it definitely helped us, get more excited about that, but also not just being tunnel visioned on strictly phone calls, and a good balance of phone calls and text, IM, email, like all these different avenues, appointments, whatever, it's like, much like Renee said earlier, that 3 hours, can encompass multiple different things.
And, one of the things I just want to mention though is things like, and Josh mentioned this, like circle prospecting. If you get a listing or if you have, a buyer or something, there's nothing wrong. And in fact, I think that I shouldn't say there's nothing wrong, but I ask you to think about, calling around the area and just saying, hey, I just wanted you to know, I got a new listing right down the street from you. And, most of the time people have people who say they would love to live in the neighborhood. And I'm just wondering if you know of anyone who has told you they'd like to live in this neighborhood. So again, I understand what you're saying. And, picking up the phone and just doing a dial for dollars.
Yeah.
But if you're calling for a purpose, I think that, I think that it's okay.
And I think that's a level of that, the above average that you were talking about before, right? Like going to, why are you choosing me? Because I'm calling looking for homes for my buyers, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling and looking for sellers. To add on that, there was another a good one that just totally slipped my mind. And too much gray. But I think that also working your strengths, right? Like if you're not going to call, sit there and like maybe make one cold call because you're terrified of it, that's what it was. We had a team leader from Idaho came up and did a thing about the ratio breakdown. Like you have the bullseye. I forget what they call it, but in the center is your allied resources, then it's your Mets, and then your non-Mets, and blah blah blah. Because that was a big thing that came up, was the prospecting. And she's like, "Why are you calling people that don't know you? Right here?" And it's just that weird psychological avoidance. So really, yeah.
Well, most of the, again, one of the things that I hear more from new agents, I absolutely hear all the time is, I don't want to call my friends. They're going to be your source of business, so bother them. And it says the 4 goals of a lead generation. Number 1, get an appointment for business, or get a referral, or build a relationship for future business or referrals, and increase your Mets. That's all it is. It's getting an appointment or getting a referral or building a relationship or increasing your Mets. Okay. So, yes, dear.
I just said something that popped in my head because I know we've got a couple of like newer agents on here, and I just had one very specific incident about like the whole, when we're calling our database and I haven't talked to this person in a couple of years or whatever. I had a pot during that bold that really sent me over the edge. I don't think I'd actually even made any contacts that week, and I was so like paralyzed. And I called another agent that we have, and he's like, "Look, dude, you got 45 minutes before it's like 9 o'clock. He's like, just call somebody, just make one phone call." And so I did. I called this guy that I used to work with, I hadn't talked to in a long time. And we had the greatest 45-minute conversation, but I had created the story in my head that, oh, we haven't talked in a while, blah, 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 whatever. And now it's a lot easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you understand that your reluctance is a story that you've told yourself.
Yep.
Pure and simple. Pure and simple. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything? The final, I guess if I was to summarize this chapter, and we do have another chapter, so don't think you're getting off that early. But if I was to summarize this chapter, basically it's saying you have to lead generate. Or business develop, or however you want to call it, but you need to talk to people every day. Okay? It's a people business. And you need to schedule that time. You need to block that time. You need to time block that time. And you need to make sure that you hold that time sacred. So, if you're at home or if you're at an office in Watsonville where you're, could have locked the door, but you need to do what you need to do to make sure that time's protected. There's stories about people saying, if the house is on fire, maybe at that point you can come and pull me out. Hold it sacred, 3 hours. And if you can't do it, or as Josh was saying, if your audience is you want to call them and they're not at home until 5 or 6, maybe one day a week, do the 5 to 7 or 4 to 7, schedule that one day a week. But try the different times in that, but again, do it. So again, prepare, know who you're going to call. A lot of people will actually prepare the night before, but if you're doing for sale by owners or you're doing expireds, you want to pull those first thing in the morning and get ready to call those first. Now, a lot of people call expireds at 6 or 7 in the morning. God love them. They've got more nerve than I do. But have that all ready to go. Spend an hour with your scripts, getting ready to call and everything else. An hour and a half, 2 hours doing the calling, and then do the follow-up and the maintenance of your database and all that. So any questions at all about that?
Not a question, but I will say that the DT, D2 or 4, whatever version.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big game changer for us. It really helped, because then, you kind of know, who you're going to be working through and calling, and it was like pretty predictable, and it helped us organize it a lot better. So for the newer people, definitely utilize that.
Yeah, and you can probably get that almost anywhere. It just basically breaks out your database, like, you call A&W one week, and they got really cute with it, about how they're breaking out the letters, but they also, there's some logic to the way they did it so that it's kind of an even number based on the letter of the alphabet. And Jordan reminded me, and thank you, Jordan, for doing this, the do not call registry. If you're going to be doing any kind of cold calling, make sure you check the do not call registry. I was really surprised, and maybe it was because it was online, but at Mega Camp, they really came on about that. And the fines are serious if you call someone that's on a do not call list. So if you use, like I subscribe to
Mojo.
Thank you, Mojo. And Mojo theoretically scrubs for the do not call. So you may think you have 150 people to call, and by the time they scrub up for the do not call, you got 5. But at least the 5 that you're going to call are legal. Okay? So make sure if you're using a list that you're using a do not call list. basically each office has access to the do not call. So you'd have to find out from either your MCA or your person in the front desk where to get it. But I know that each office is supposed to maintain a copy of the do not call. Any other questions?
What do you mean by a copy of the do not call?
Go ahead.
Well, I had asked Mona quite a long time ago about it, and it seems like when I was researching online, how do you get access to it? How do you, and utilize it? Somewhere I came upon, your market center, if through specifically something in KW, your market center should be able to get you access to it. And I asked Mona about it, and she said, no, we don't have any. She said there's no, the office doesn't have any access to it. That you, in essence, you have to get it on your own.
Mona's gone, right?
Yes.
Be nice.
Hey, people used to think Mona and I were twins. They would call me Mona. Anyway, what I would do is I would run it by Rob and Rob Ross.
Right.
And have tell Rob that this is something that, especially after being at Mega Camp, that it's really imperative that the office find out where to find it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're not convinced.
Well, and it's been, my recollection is like you can go through like some of these like Mojo and I can't think of all the other ones right now. I know you can go through them, but if you weren't going through any of those subscriptions, that you can get it, I think, through the National Do Not Call Registry. But even there, I think you have to pay, and I can't remember how that whole thing is set up. So inevitably, everything I found suggested that you have to pay for it in some fashion.
Well, and to be honest with you, I think that it's the market center's responsibility to provide that to us. If yes, as an individual, you could be liable if you were to make a phone call that wasn't that you weren't supposed to. But at the same, let me talk to Elaine, and I will get an answer from Elaine for all three offices. Okay, because I'll put a bug in her ear.
And if somebody has different information than what I'm saying, and mine's been, I would love to hear different, because I've never been able to hear different. I've asked several people about how you can get it without subscribing to Mojo or what is it, Red something, and one of the dialers.
Well, and again, I would imagine that should be something that's provided before by the market center. So, I will find out from Elaine, because again, Elaine's been the team leader for about 10 or 11 years. So she'll know about that, and then would be able to spread the word to Rob and Laura if Laura doesn't have it.
That would be fantastic.
Okay.
And Renee, just a reminder, it also includes like mass texting as well, like what Mike was talking about.
Right. So just, be careful. And on the other hand, and again, I have to say that I really empathize with what Denise said at the beginning of this, which was, by not having open houses were a huge resource for people, especially that were starting out or that were new to the area. It was an opportunity to greet people, to see people, to be able to get names and numbers and all that. And, that's gone by the wayside. So we have to figure out other ways to do it. So, calling, should be maybe part of it. Anyway. Okay. Oh, I thought, okay. we're gonna see how long this lasts. I think what happens is, does anyone know much about computers? I think I've got an HP, and I think what happens is it gets too hot, and I think I don't know. I'm really.
Because you have a PC.
Hmm?
It's because you have a PC. If you had a Mac, it wouldn't be a problem.
Oh, quiet,
Uh-oh.
quiet. Okay, now we're going to be talking about validity, building validity and positioning. Doesn't that sound like fun? So here's the ground rules. No, I'm kidding. We don't need the ground rules. Why you are here? You're a real estate professional. And I'm going to read another story from Gary Keller. So get your little teddy bears out. Gary Keller tells the story of being a team leader and watching agents get caught up in the image trap. He says, what happened is agents would get into real estate, but then feel like they could not take action until they had a business card. I'm telling you, they literally would not do anything until their business cards were in hand because they didn't think they were valid business people without a business card. And this never ceased to surprise and amaze me. It's never the business card that makes you a valid real estate professional. Validity is nothing more than feeling at your core very good and confident about who you are and communicating that potential to the customer. Validity is the customer believing and trusting their business to you. I'm always just tell the agents to stop waiting on the business cards and get out in the marketplace. So, building your unique selling proposition, your personal validity, powerful positioning, and then your unique selling proposition. So everybody, this should be part of everything you do. This should be part of your listing presentation. This should be part of your buyer's presentation. My unique value proposition or unique selling proposition, and it's, to me, they're the same as the value proposition, but they're showing them as a little different. But my clients will get the highest amount of money in the shortest amount of time because of my 30 years of experience in real estate and negotiation. So, how do you describe yourself? And how do others describe yourself? Now, one of the things that I get a lot of feedback on, now, of course, it's people that like Megan, but I get a lot of feedback on is that I'm a good negotiator. So I feel that that's what I bring to the table. Anybody can put a house on the market. You put out a sign, you put it on MLS, all that stuff, and then you pray for that buyer. For me, the value is in the negotiation and the ability to get something closed. So that's how other people's would describe. And then define your customer service. A lot of people use 5-star. What's the fancy hotel?
The Ritz.
Yeah, Ritz service, all that kind of stuff. So, what you need to do is figure out how you describe yourself, how do others describe you, define the kind of service you want to have, and create your value proposition. And then from there, you create your unique selling proposition. So you begin with, who are you? The knowledge, attitude, skills, beliefs, and beliefs you already have. So for some of you that are new, it's like, well, what do I talk about? I'm new to real estate. Well, if you're if you're an accountant, not to pick on anyone, is he gone? If you're an accountant, you have an attention to detail. You have the ability to make sure that, you negotiate the best value for someone, or making sure that someone gets the best value. So look, just because you did something in the past, you haven't been a realtor forever, doesn't mean you don't have skills and beliefs that are applicable today. Agreed? Okay.
Yeah.
So Sarah, what would yours be?
I'm super duper committed.
You're like a pit bull.
Yeah. No.
You know, you get going on something and you're not gonna, you know, you don't give up.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, it's just taking those sort of things, those sorts of skills, and then applying them to real estate. So basically, it's the words and phrases that you would use to describe yourself, and then ask other people how they would describe you. You know, you heard Sarah. I mean, I would probably describe her as sweet, nice, pleasant. I always like to say that, you know, one of the things that I offer in my transactions is fun. I mean, you know, I even in the worst of moments, I can make people laugh. I don't know if that's a positive or negative, but it saved me from a lot of stuff. So no matter what you've done in the past, you are uniquely qualified to do this job. So imagine, you know, look at your experience, look at your strengths, and then make it real estate related. You can start with your resume, or think about your beliefs. You know, integrity, personal responsibility is huge to me. Huge, 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 huge. You know, if I don't like excuses, and I don't give excuses. Did I give excuses at the beginning of this session? Anyway, you know, so if someone says, I didn't get this done because I don't go for that. I don't like excuses. So, you know, that's something that to me is personal responsibility. So you'll always know exactly what's going on, good or bad. You know, I've fallen on my sword so many times, you know, where I'll take ownership of the fact if something went south or whatever, and I didn't necessarily have to, I still will take responsibility for it, because everything ends up in my, you know, I'm the final, I have the ultimate responsibility. Am I rambling? Okay,
No, absolutely. I'm taking notes.
Don't. Okay, so what buyers and sellers say they want? Do they want an agent that's honest and trustworthy? How many people, I mean, you know, I love the word integrity, but how many people use it to the fact that it's abusive? You know, everybody, I'm honest and integrous. Well, yeah, you know, I want a dishonest agent. So kind of try and stay away from those things where everybody says it, or say it in a different way. Or, and the other thing is the agent's reputation. Now you notice that sellers look at the reputation of the real estate agent, and then an agent that is honest and trustworthy. Now this is an NAR profile of home buyers and sellers. I would imagine, you know, this course was updated in 2015. So I would imagine that this course is a little old, but still, you know, they're going to want to know who you are and where you came from. And for the newer agents, use other people, you know, use the offices or use other people's within the office's experiences. So we don't have 20 minutes to do that, but, you know, when you get a chance, think about how you would describe yourself. And making real estate relevant. And then find out how other people describe you. You know, like Josh and Laura are a team, but they are totally, their value propositions are going to be totally different because they're totally different personalities. So you have to look at who you are when you do this. Underscores your validity. Okay, what other people are saying, collect a testimonial. Think of people, you know, think of somebody you've done business with, get out your cell phone and call them, ask them for a testimonial. When I first started collecting testimonials, I actually had a couple of people who I had been on board of directors with. because they had had an opportunity to work with me and know who I was or how I work. So that's something you can do.
And it's also a lead gen thing.
Of course it is.
Call people up and be like, oh, hey, I love your input.
By the way, who do you know that's going to buy or sell real estate in the next 6 months? So again, stand apart from the crowd, define your customer service, and create your value proposition and create your unique sales proposition. So buyers, when they said describe your customer service, which was step 3, this is the stuff that's important to buyers to help them find the right home to purchase. Help them negotiate the price. But the biggest thing is helping them find the right home. Sellers, their biggest thing is help seller market home to potential buyers. So, this is where in a value proposition, you could say, I do the 4th, one of the things you could do is say, most agents do 3 Ps. They put it on the MLS, put a sign up and pray for buyers. I do the 4th P, I prospect for buyers. However you want to do it, but, let them know that you're going to do more than just sit there and wait for buyers to come to you. What services do you offer? This is just all ideas about how to put this together. Determining, analyzing needs and wants, determining price strategy, advising on repairs, develop a marketing plan, evaluating offer, negotiating counter offers, preparing post-contract work lists, courting documents, reviewing closing documents, assisting with post-sales, post-closing. So, this is all stuff that you guys are going to be doing anyway. So itemize, so figure out which ones of that particular list you're going to do, and then put that in your value proposition. Make it this says, and this is one of the things that a lot of people get caught on, it says distill services into benefits. So analyzing your needs and wants, okay? The benefit of that, Mr. Customer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and actually find out exactly what your needs or wants are in the purchase of this home, so that when we go looking, I will only show you homes that will meet your needs. So analyzing needs and wants is a thing that you do. The reason you do it, or the benefit to the customer, is what needs to be articulated. They don't care about the analyzing needs and wants until they know how it benefits them. Make sense? And then create your value proposition. Shouldn't be much more than one or two sentences. So some examples of value propositions. Is Marty still on here? One of them is Spanish speaking. You have access to a large pool of potential buyers for your home who are often overlooked by other agents. These are the services and then the benefits. So you enjoy a much smoother, you enjoy a smooth contract to close process because I build strong relationship with customers and their agents. So again, these are the services and then what the benefits are to the clients. Presenting a truly different and unique service. I will tell you that that's going to be a challenge. I mean, you figure there's, 4 million, 5 million agents out there. I don't know. There's some ungodly number of agents out there. So to make it truly unique is going to be difficult. I could actually ask someone if they have their value proposition that they would like to share. Jordan?
Yes.
Would you like to share yours?
My value proposition?
Uh-huh.
Sure. Absolutely, Renee. Anything for you.
Oh, I so appreciate that.
That didn't sound sarcastic.
No, I forgot my wading boots today.
My value proposition is transparency and communication, all cards on the table at all times, and I establish a unique communication structure so you understand it on your terms. More money, less time, and integrity all the way.
Okay, so that is unique.
Ooh.
And no, you can't steal it. But that is unique, which is really great.
I took my biggest pet peeve as being a lack of communication as a consumer. And if I don't want to have that, there's other people who don't. So let's find the communication structure that works for you, and I'll provide it.
Yeah, and that's the key is that, that's the key to this too, is that Jordan's not saying, I'm going to communicate with everybody once a week, or I'm going to communicate with everybody via text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with you, figure out how you'd like to be communicated with, and then I'll communicate with you in that way. Good job.
And I think that's sorry to interrupt, Renee. I think that's a really valuable thing because a lot of times we just assume communication, and kind of going back to the prospecting thing, like I've identified a couple of people that I call. I'm like, I text them and I'm like, hey, let's, set up something, whatever. No response to text messages, but every time I call them, they answer the phone, right? And so, like really dialing down to the way that they want to be communicated with is
absolutely
often gets overlooked.
Well, it's funny when I was coaching up in Gateway. I remember one agent. He's still with Gateway and very successful. But I remember saying, "Okay, Brian, what I want you to do is I want you to start calling people in your database." And he looked at me like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I said, "What's the matter?" He goes, "My generation doesn't call. We text, or we're on Facebook, but we don't call." He goes, "If I was to call someone that I know, they'd think there was something wrong." So again, that's the other thing that's kind of generational too, is, figuring out how that particular person wants to communicate also. Okay, so again, this isn't like the end of the world if you don't have it, but can you imagine going up against someone like Jordan who articulates something like that, as opposed to you going in and saying, "Hey, I'm good."
I'll crush them every time with that.
Yeah.
You might not, but Laura would definitely.
Marty just asked a question about voicemails for calls. And there was something that I think it was in a bold. This was a while back, but it was a really good point that it's when we often leave messages, we go, "Hey, call me back," right? And depending on what the call, you just like, "Hey, I wanted to touch base with you. It's been a while." And we tend to just go, "Hey, give me a call back when you have some time." And they said that's not their job to stay in touch with you. It's your job. So you could say something more like, "Hey, tried to call, wanted to connect. It's been a long time. I'm going to give you a call back again in a couple of days and see if we can try again, or, I'll reach out another way." Because I feel like we're trying to shirk responsibility back. "Oh, well, I called, left a voicemail. They never called me back."
Well, in fact, if you do the D2 whatever, that whole program, someday I'm going to actually learn what it is. But the thing that's really cool about that is you work that like the letters A and W. You work them all week. So the way it is that like Monday you call them. And, some you'll actually talk to, some you'll leave messages. And your message is going to be, "Hey, this is Renee, just wanted to reach out and touch base with you, see how things are going. Sorry I missed you. I'm going to give you a call again on Wednesday about 3 o'clock. talk to you later, bye. You know, and then call them again on Wednesday. Don't not call them on Wednesday. And then again, if you missed them, gosh, I'm really sorry I missed you. I'm going to give you another try on Friday. But if we don't touch base, just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about you. And then you call them on Friday, and if you don't touch base, you just let it go. Because as you're going down now to the B and C's or whatever it is, BMWs, I don't know, whatever the next letters are. Yes,
E&D,
B and D.
I think so.
Okay. So again, it gives you a real systematic way of making the phone calls. You really give them 3 tries. And then, like you said, Josh, it's not their responsibility to reach out to us. Now, some will, but it's not their responsibility. So you follow up a couple times and then, you know, you wait another, you know, then what happens is you cycle through it again in 3 months. So, oh, I guess let's see. Thank you for attending. Okay, so anything, you know, I have to say that, you know, the unique power, the unique selling proposition and the value, this isn't probably the best class for that to be addressed. You know, it's just something to think about. Does anyone have any questions? We are a little early.
I want to ask you to go back to a slide that that value proposition list.
May, if you want to, the other thing is you can actually go to, if you go to KW Connect and go to the class 3612-3, they will have that.
Just before this one, I think there was a list. People were taking a note. That one. Yes, this one.
Okay,
Thank you.
take a picture of it.
And,
Anything else?
Well, just to add, you know, and I know you're going to be a big fan of this, but
Probably not.
oh yeah, you will. It's
Oh,
one of
I'm
your
going to
favorite,
be. Okay.
one of your favorite people. But especially for the new agents, I cannot stress any more reading this book above most others. But Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Yeah.
It will help. I mean, it exactly speaks to this, you know, and basically his big tagline is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? And it's all about trying to understand and really be able to articulate why you do this job or this career. And it's, I've now got the workbook. It's the subsequent of like how to actually work through it. But that book is a game changer for sure.
Yep, I agree with you. And again, you know, it's that old adage, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. You know, you just need to you need to put you know, you need to know why you're doing this.
Is this similar to the one? Gary Keller's the one? The one
No,
thing?
The why book basically talks about what is it that gets you going every morning. If you get a chance, have you ever heard of Simon Sinek, Rob?
I've heard his name a few times, but don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
I would say that I'm sorry, Josh. I'm the best thing to do is to go in and look at his TED Talk.
Yeah. He basically what it is, he came up with this thing called the golden circle, and it's how businesses communicate. And to sum it up, it's like the 3 rings. The center is the why, the second one is the how, and then it's the what. And most companies communicate from the outside in. So they go what, how, and then he says they very rarely get to why. So most people don't like really know what they do. And he uses Apple extensively because they're like one of the people, like Steve Jobs nailed it with this. And they communicate from the inside out. They start with why they do what they do. They talk a little bit about how they do it, and then like, oh yeah, and then we make computers and stuff, right? And so people connect, because what they've done, it's actually an emotional thing that happens in your brain. And so people connect on an emotional level with that thing or that company, because they're like, yeah, that's like me. I get that, you know, it's like the value proposition. Why you do it. I saw real estate for this reason. It was like, oh, I really dig that. I'm going to work with you. I don't care about anything else, you know? So,
and that really makes sense. You know, the why, if you all understand the why, it gives you a shared purpose and shared motivation and all
exactly. Yeah. And another good way to explain it too is like, or to talk about, is the comparison with like when Apple came out with the iPod and the other people came out with MP3 players. And so companies like Dell, you know, everybody associates Dell with the computer company. They don't know why they do it. They just know that Dell makes computers, right? But Apple did all kinds of different things, and they came out with the iPod. So when Dell came out with their music player, it really fell flat because people are like, well, you guys make computers. Like, I don't know, what is this thing? And there was no real emotional connection behind it, behind the company. And so that's kind of where, like, why a lot of these other companies have sort of fallen off the wayside to some of the stuff that Apple's done.
So again, I would suggest looking for the YouTube Simon Sinek TED Talk, why, and you'll get a real good taste of what he has to say.
Also recommend his book, The Infinite Game.
Yeah. Yep. So anything else? Okay, as I mentioned, tomorrow is Chris Alston, who's going to be doing prospecting. Do not miss that. He is awesome. He's going to blow your socks off. He may piss some people off, but that's okay. That's who he is.
Promise?
Huh?
No promises, but he is really good.
Chris is great to listen to.
Yeah.
He is, and the thing is that he is a very successful realtor, and he knows about prospecting. And Denise, he might be a good one for you to kind of, you know, hear about or listen to other ways to prospect now that we can't do it the way we used to do it.
I have a question.
Of course you do, May.
Yesterday, Elaine talked about Laura. What happened to Laura?
Nothing bad. She had surgery. She's donating a kidney so her husband can get a kidney transplant from a matched donor.
That's such a sweet of her.
I know, because she's not a match for him. So she went through her surgery about 2 weeks ago now, and she's doing really well, and she's fine actually. She talks to me a lot still, but she's out for like this month just recovering, but very actively still, and she's recovering well. Everything went well with the surgery, and she's gonna help him however she can. So
okay, anything else?
Renee, I just want to say something. I was
Yes,
reading
ma'am.
this morning, and that just cheered me up. I was reading that we all get cut off with time. We, like you were saying today, is one of the things that we just need to put in the calendar and actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just reading this really quick for everybody. Like there is like 168 hours in a week. There is like 40 hours for a full-time job, 5 hours for personal hygiene, 10 hours for eating, 5 hours for working out. But if you don't work out like me, then we have some extra hours. 8 hours to sleep each night, if you can actually sleep 8 hours. 14 hours of those we have like for family time, 5 hours for housework a week, 3 hours for church, 30 hours left in your whole week. And they say that 20 to 30 hours of that, you can actually use like, to whatever you want to focus on. And you still have some 10 hours extra that you can reinvent yourself, take your solo time, and just create and manage everything in a better way. Analyzing my time to this, I came to the conclusion today that I have a lot of free time that I'm not putting, efforts into it.
Well, good. So start doing that.
Yes, and I think these structures really helps to kind of determine what I really want to focus on. And many things that you were mentioning today, developing a marketing plan, evaluating not just, you know, the areas, but also evaluating, you know, what type of scripts you're going to be doing, I think is very important for me as a new person, and for everything that you're saying, Josh, and many other ones. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. So I'm going to start practicing that, and I really appreciate everybody, you know, feedback. And I'm going to make a goal for a month, and I will let you know how everything goes.
Okay, well, you could do the 66-day challenge, which is it the one thing where you actually set a goal and then you cross out
Yeah.
every day that you actually do it.
Oh,
Josh is-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do that.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll see you later. Sorry for the, well, no, I'm not. Hey,
No, you're not over at all.
Thank you.
Thank you so
it
much, Renee.
happens.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Good seeing you, Clifton.
Good seeing you too.